Hi, this is Miss Cairo. This is math lesson 3-10 part 2 video. And for this lesson, all you need to do is follow along with me on your whiteboard as we walk through a fairly long word problem in which we're going to be studying dividing unit fractions with this problem. And I really want you to be thinking about the scenario, be working through all the visuals that we're going to be drawing out, and really be noticing any patterns or rules that we're going to be following when dividing with unit fractions. So on my screen, I'm going to be reading the start of a word problem out loud. I want you to follow along closely with me. And then again, on the next slide, we're going to be working through the problem together. Okay. It says Karen's 5 grandchildren came to visit for 3 days. Karen found a long roll of drawing paper. She said, I'll cut this paper into 3 equal parts and we'll use 1 part on each day. Then she cut the first part into 5 equal parts so each grandchild could make a drawing. She asked her grandchildren, what part of the whole roll of paper do each of you have? What math problem is this? Make a drawing so Sammy will understand. All right, so backtracking, let's go ahead and let's mark this up together. I see that my key numbers within this problem is that we're working with 5 children or 5 grandchildren, and they're visiting their grandma Karen for 3 days. And Karen found a roll of long paper for drawing. And she's saying she's going to cut this paper into 3 equal parts, and then they're going to use it each part for each day and divide it equally among all 5 grandchildren. So I see that we're working with a long roll of paper. I'm going to circle that too. I know I'm working with just one roll. So above the word A, I'm going to write in 1. And again, hopefully you're just following along with me. And then I'm going to box any keywords here that helps us decide what operation are we using for this problem. So skim the text again. What do you see in terms of phrases or words that gives us a clue to what operation we're using to solve this problem? I see equal parts. Do you guys see that too? Equal parts, I'm thinking division. Equal parts, I always think of division or maybe multiplication. I see the word cut. Cut means I'm distributing out. Do you see any other ones I should box? I think we're good. Maybe what part of the whole roll is the question? And that kind of goes along with cubes. We're going to be answering the question, what part of the whole roll of paper does each of the grandchildren have when she hands it out one day? All right. And then her youngest grandchild, Sammy, is feeling kind of confused. Let's go ahead and let's think about this question too. What math problem is this? So we're going to be coming up with a math problem. We're going to think of 2 numbers, and we're deciding what operation we're going to use. And then our answer, we will be arriving at what part of the whole roll of paper does each of the grandchildren have? So our answer will be part of a whole. So that tells me our answer for part of a whole. Are they going to have more than one whole each and more than one roll each? It's not possible. Our answer is going to be in fraction form. So I'm already going to put a fraction bar there. All right. So on your at the very top of your whiteboard, what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to fill this in like I am. And we're going to be filling it in at the very end. We're thinking of what number are we starting with? What operation are we using as we cut and divide into equal parts? What's our second number here? And then what is our answer in terms of how much does each of the grandchildren get in terms of the whole roll? All right, what operation are we using here to begin with? We're going to be multiplying. We're cutting into pieces. So already we can put in that we're dividing, and we'll go through slide by slide, and we'll be deciding what number we're dividing by what number. All right. On my next slide, We have quite a bit of information, and I'm going to be walking you through it. Each grandchild basically chimes in to help solve this problem. So starting off with Tommy at the very top, go ahead and read along with me. It says, Tommy, the oldest, said, today we are using 1/3 of the roll because we have 3 equal parts. So again, we started off with one long roll and they're visiting for 3 days. So he's saying we're splitting up to three parts to represent 1 part for each day. On your whiteboard, what I'd like you to do is draw out a bar like I am. And this bar is going to represent 1 whole paper roll. And just like Tommy said, we're going to be splitting it up into 3 parts. 1, 2, 3. And again, try and make them as even as possible. For, let's say they're staying on a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So this would be for Friday. This part would be for Saturday. This part would be for Sunday. So 3 equal parts. And today, he says, today we're just going to be using 1/3 of it. And then our final question is we're figuring out how much does each grandchild get of the whole roll on this day that they are working or crafting or whatever they're doing with the paper. Okay. Then it says, Lucy said we cut that 1/3 into 5 equal parts. So we found 1/3 divided by 5, a unit fraction divided by a whole number 5. All right, so for this one day, Lucy is saying that we need to cut our 1/3 up into 5 equal parts. And what we're going to do is we're going to do dotted lines to do that, to distinguish between day 1. And I changed up my color, but you're going to just do dotted lines with me. So 1 piece here, 1 piece here, 5 total pieces. All right. If it's helpful for you to visualize that, you don't have to draw this part out, but you can watch me do it. So let's say it's Friday that they're solving this problem. So Friday, they only have 1/3 of the whole, and they just split Friday's 1/3 piece up into 5 parts. So now each grandchild gets 1 part, 1 part, 1 part, 1 part, 1 part. Each of the 5 children get 5 equal parts of the third that they just cut off. So we followed along with Lucy. Asha said, but we have to divide each of the other 2/3 into 5 equal parts to find out how many equal parts we have in all. That's like multiplying by 1/5. Yep, we've done this before and with multiplication. Whatever we do with one part of our whole, we have to do to the others because we're finding equal parts here. So since we've already split our third into fifths, we also have to do the same. And that makes sense to go along with the situation. This would be for Friday. This would be for Saturday. This would be for Sunday. So let's go ahead and split those up into 5 equal parts. Each third is going to be split up into 5 parts. Great. Thank you, Asha. And then it says, Phoebe said, oh, look, we have 15 equal parts in all. So today we are each using 1/15 of the roll. So go ahead and circle one part. And let's prove that this is true on our whiteboards. One part of this paper roll can be written in fraction form. I just circled one piece. So our numerator is 1. And just like Phoebe said, what's our denominator here? 15. 15 total parts. We have 3 groups of 5. So 5 here, 5 here, 5 here. Thank you, Phoebe. And then Sammy said, the youngest grandchild said, so dividing by 5 is the same as multiplying by 1/5 because that also means finding one of the 5 equal parts. Yes, you are right, Sammy. We basically did division, but it also can be related to, it's the same as multiplying by 1/5. And let's put this all together and let's plug in those numbers Lucy started us off with our division sentence on the next one. So keep that on your whiteboard and let's draw out the division sentence that goes along with this scenario. So we had 1/3 on this day that they were talking. We're going to say 1/3 of the paper on a Friday night. 1/3 went along with the one whole that we already had that we took away from or that we took apart from. And then we divided among the grandchildren. How many grandchildren were there? There were 5. So we needed 5 pieces each of these 1/3 part of the roll. So it was 1/3 divided among 5 grandchildren. And we said that this the same as multiplication, or Sammy said that's the same as multiplication. How it's the same as multiplication? Well, we took a third and then we split our thirds up into 5 pieces. So 1/3, we split them up into unit fractions of 1/5 each. So we took 1/5 here, 1/5 here, 1/5 here, 1/5 here, 1/5 here. Each grandchild gets a third and then a fifth of a third of the whole roll. So our division sentence is 1/3 divided by 5, which is the same as 1/3 of 1/5, or 1/5 of 1/3, whatever way you look at it. Does this go along with the strategy that we were learning about with KCF? It does indeed. Keep the first number the same. The first number is the same. Change the operation from division to multiplication. Yep. Last one is flip the second number. The second number is a whole number, but if I were to write that as a fraction, remember it would be written as 5 ones. And 5 ones flipped, if I were to change or flip the numerator and the denominator and make the denominator the numerator, the denominator would be turned into the numerator. 5 would be written as the denominator. And we would be left with 1/5. 5 flipped is in fact 1/5. KCF, yep. And then our final answer then, what we wanted to know in the beginning, is how much of the roll does each grandchild get? Well, one part, well, we circled it, already up here. They get one part. So we knew our answer was going to be in unit fraction. They were going to get one part out of a total, though, of 15 pieces. We split our roll into 3 pieces first for each day that they're with Karen, and then split each of those thirds into fifths so that each grandchild gets an equal amount, and we're left with 1/15. All right, thanks so much for following along. And again, I want you to be looking for patterns here. We just divided a fraction divided by a whole number, and we arrived at an answer that was less than or greater than the number that we started with. Is 1/3, let's look at it this way. Is 1/15 greater or less than 1/3? It is less than. So starting off with a number and then dividing by a larger number, I'm seeing that we're getting a smaller number than both our numbers in our division sentence. Okay, thank you for following along.